Today, we'll look at how to allow non-technical people to manage content in our custom application. A web application will often have some parts that a non-technical person would want to edit. They can be various pages, minus the main layout. They can be small areas of a mostly dynamic page, such as calls to action. Perhaps they want to control how individual items appear once loaded from our database. If you have an existing application without a content management solution, then someone probably has to ask a developer for any changes. In case of applications built using a scripting language, I have seen people editing files directly via FTP. So far, I've seen most people solve that by moving the entire application over to a CMS. The usual approach is to pick a CMS, then build a custom application as a plugin to that CMS. You can possibly already see the disadvantages of this solution. First, this will be a long and costly journey. Even for rather simple applications, I have seen this taking months of work. The other problem is that the application becomes tied to the CMS and whatever language it uses. Finally, this often leads to performance problems because CMSs don't give the same level of control that a custom application would. This is because a CMS is built to be as generic as possible. And if you decide to customize everything, you'll basically end up with a custom application, but with the extra complexity of building everything the way imposed by the CMS. The following solution gives you the best of both worlds with much less effort. The trick is to see the editing and displaying of the content as entirely separate concerns. The purpose of a CMS is managing the content. The application may occasionally want to display content, at which point it can get that from the CMS. Choose any CMS you prefer, as long as it provides a reasonable API that allows you to get the content over HTTP. This approach does not force you to rewrite your entire application as a CMS plugin. Say we want to create a page to describe a service that we offer. The person in charge of the content would go into the CMS and design the page. The application would then load that content and inject it into the rest of the page design. This also works for smaller regions of a page, where the rest is generated by the application. Let's look at a more complex example. We have a list of events in our application's database that we want to display on a page, but we want to let people control the appearance of event items through the CMS. They would go and set up items such as this, but they will use special text that your application can recognize. Your application would then load both the data and the CMS item, combine them to produce something like this, and finally inject everything onto the page. And that's it for today. Let me know in the comments what topic you'd like me to cover next. Thanks for watching and happy coding!